Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you happenstance into this Truth Bomb riff. My name is Patrick Lovell. I am the producer with the $71 trillion Truth, and I am recording this on Sunday, April 20th, 2025, which of course is Easter Sunday on 420, as I've been reminded all over my social media by Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg. And of course, it's the end of the Passover holiday as well. And all of that is about rebirth, resurrection, renewal, and spring, and couldn't come at a time more prescient, considering that on yesterday, as a matter of fact, millions of people came to the streets on the 250th anniversary of Paul Revere's ride to warn us that the British were coming, of course, on the midnight of that fateful day. And it was just really inspiring and incredible to see millions of people come to the streets again, as they had a couple of weeks ago, in the hands off 2025 slash 5051 movement, where people are coming together to push back against this onslaught of insanity that we're all in the midst of. And in so doing, I was inspired to write sort of an epitaph, if you will, and try to, parse what's going on in a way that we're all kind of on the same page and growing together by leaps and bounds. But hopefully, this may be the glue that inspires all of us to come together, because that's what it's going to take to turn the tables on this madness. Democracy is about dynamism and elasticity. American democracy is a brilliant synergy of checks and balances within the three branches of government to facilitate liberty and justice for all, predicated on a government of, by, and for the people, but predicated equally on the rule of law. What's not written is the underlying glue that makes it so. It's the nature of our meritocracy manifested through character and courage, intelligence and integrity that births sharp and thoughtful representatives that fuse the power of millions to represent constituents to foster the protection of liberty and justice for all. But that's not what we are in 2025, nor have we been for a very long time. We're perverted, inverted, bloated, rotting Dale, wed carcass of the dead American dream, where only the filthy pimps, whores, and thieves and parasites thrive. These diabolical villains of betrayal did what George Carlin warned us about over a decade ago when he proclaimed that they threw us overboard 40 years ago. And who were they? The owners. But something has shifted fundamentally. There are millions of us, the millions of us that were ensconced in silos because of varying issues, have suddenly realized that it's us against them. Us who believe in the equality and liberty and sustainability and justice for all and the beauty, against them who want absolute control of the orange joker in chief, who's been breaking the law his entire career and should have been in prison and jailed and lost his business licenses decades ago. But as I learned from the great William K. Black, the system was chasing mice while the lions roamed the campsite. Elon Trump is exactly what we are, have been, and what will continue to get worse if millions of us don't resurrect our character predicated on dignity, decency, and integrity. All of that will now have to manifest from courage, because we're officially in the dark ages of absolute power that corrupts absolutely. And what does corruption mean? Corruption is the corrosion of the soul. And at the heart of it, corruption is the tumor that is now ensconced in fascism. What is fascism? The clampdown. My friends, the hardest part has already happened. Millions of people are now coming to the streets carrying signs that indicate that the jig is up and we, the people, are hip to the game. But the question is it too late? Elon Trump has hijacked everything illegally through Doge and executive orders. I think Elon Trump stole the presidency. We know they suppressed 3.5 million minority votes in swing states, and that's probably just the tip of the iceberg. But what's the response? What's going to lead us out of this? Are the midterms democracy's last chance? I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen in the future, but I am certain of this. Without knowledge of how corruption works and what's created the disaster that we're in the midst of, a pathway forward to create a remedy represent this corruption would be an impossibility. But we have the answers. I've been engaged in the trenches for over 14 years. We've aggregated the information that tens of millions of people do not understand. And without this clarity of truth, can we, the people, have the moral clarity to smash through the pollution of corruption that has an iron grip on power? The truth that the government and media has hidden from us all is now available and has been for free at thecon.tv. But what good is understanding the problem if you don't have a pathway to the solution? Some call it capitalism. It's simply racketeering. I've always asked myself, how can we find a solution without understanding the problem? Because we can't. Once you free yourself from the bondage of lies that we've all been blitzkrieged by, can we then understand how we can turn the tables and be redeemed? At the heart of all of this is that the global economy collapsed in 2008, and the full faith and credit of the United States was used to float the largest criminal racketeering financial conspiracy in history that never ended. It's not rocket science, it's racketeering. When you live in light, you live in truth. When you live a lie, inside you die. When you have the truth, you're bulletproof. When you lie, inside you die. Stop lying, stop buying lies. And on that note, I definitely want to show you this because my shirt, we created this shirt, by the way. This says, do you teach your children that it's okay to lie, steal, and cheat to become president? So why would you vote for it? Look, on this sacred day for millions of people from all sorts of different backgrounds, the fact of the matter is that without understanding how this system works, we're all lost in translation and cannot see the forest for the trees. But Donald Trump is literally the red carpet reflection. You can call him the emperor's new clothes. This is some form of, Humpty Dumpty. And can we piece it back together again, or is it too late? Only history will tell. But if millions of us can unite, and I'm going to get back to my my message here that I've written down because it's easier to read it, and I didn't memorize it, even though I usually go off on tangent on stream of consciousnesses on these truth bomb riffs. But when you become a nuclear reaction vector to the big bang of truth that I'm dropping, together we can manifest the light to overcome the darkness, and only then can we resurrect the American dream. When you, me, and everyone you see that isn't a Nazi, that believes in the sanctity of dignity and decency, beauty, sustainability, equality, built from the foundations of liberty and integrity, when we embrace the light of truth, then can we usher in the clean new deal to discover our destiny, to purge the misery of tyranny, to unleash the renaissance of possibility. Happy Easter to you all. Happy Pesach. Happy 420. This is the exodus from corruption to redeem the dream. And once we get there to the promised land, we will all feel irie. Onwards and upwards.